Hello and welcome to Chart of the Day Cafe for Tuesday, July 18th, 2017. Disclaimer quickly, trading stocks is a high level of risk and viewers should complete their own due diligence on any stock or underlying that they intend to own. 100% of the content of this video and communique is intended for journalistic and educational purposes only. This video and all indicators, strategies, and articles herein should not be construed as investment advice, not making any recommendations, always for your further homework. Good morning, Sue here on a beautiful summer morning, at least where I am around Toronto, Canada. And another interesting week in the market. So let's get into our video. We always start off with a look at the Russell Index. We use the Russell as our proxy for the markets overall. As long as the Russell is moving higher, we are adding names to our watch list. And for that, we use the IWM, which is the ETF that represents the Russell 2000, and we step back to take a look at it on a 5-year monthly time frame. So we've been keeping an eye on this wedge pattern, this large wedge pattern that's been shaping up on the Russell, oh gosh, since the beginning of the year. This blue line down here is longer term area of support and resistance, but this is the area that we've really been focusing on. These are the monthly candles, and as you can see, we've been trading in this wedge in sort of a sideways fashion where the market is kind of looking for direction. These candles back here at the beginning of the year didn't really have a directional bias to them. Then we had this candle for the month of May, which was red, caught our attention, but it was canceled out by the month of June, which had a bullish orientation. And here we are so far for the month of July. Our chart is a little more cluttered than it normally is just because we drew in a wedge, a smaller wedge within our bigger wedge, a week or so back. So let's move it away from the monthly. I just want you to see the bigger picture here with the monthly chart. Let's go over to the 1-year weekly chart. Here's that same long-term area of support and resistance down here, our orange line, and the same upper trend line up here that has kind of corralled price in the past. It did back here in February. It did back here in April. And we're approaching that upper band here, so we're being extra careful in this area. Here's the mini wedge that we have drawn in our larger wedge. I hope that's not too confusing. You can better see it on the daily chart, but I just want you to note the series of dojis that we had in these weeks. And then last week we kind of broke out of our wedge a little bit, and we're sitting up here right now. So that's the weekly look. Let's take a look at the daily look, where you can better see our wedge. Before it broke out, we drew in this trend line and said, the Russell's coming into an interesting area. This pattern here was kind of consolidation, and we were thinking, is it starting to move and make a decision as to which way it wants to go, up or down, or up or down? And it chose up. So we use this blue line as our guide, which is the 8-day EMA. And we say when price on the Russell is trading up and above the 8-day EMA, we are adding new names to our watch list. So what I want to reiterate is that the Russell is coming into this area. We want to be careful because price was rejected in the past. Having said that, it is showing price strength with price up and over the 8-day. So we'll put a new chart forward this morning. And so the new name we're going to add to our watch list this morning is Royal Dutch Shell. There is an A series and a B series. It trades on the New York Stock Exchange. We are looking at the B series. There's a very minor difference, I believe, between the two, and I think it's all about the way the dividend is treated. I'll include an article about that in today's show notes, but for our purposes today, we are looking at the B side. Before I get into the chart, let me tell you a little bit more about the company, Royal Dutch Shell. Through its subsidiaries, engages in the exploration, production, and trading of various energy resources worldwide. They are a very big player. You know, at Chart of the Day Cafe, it is all about value, and Royal Dutch Shell has a very nice high value score. Second thing I look for is growth, and the forecasted earnings growth rate for Royal Dutch Shell is 22%. Nice number. Third thing I look for, it's not a must like value and growth, but in this case it's there. It's a dividend yield, and the current dividend yield for Royal Dutch Shell B series is 6.89%. That's a wow dividend. So with that, let's get into the chart. We're looking at the 2-year weekly chart. First thing I want you to note is that it's in an uptrend overall, and it's sitting in an area where it's kind of consolidating, or at least it looks like that to me, kind of trading sideways and perhaps looking for lift off this trend line. We will see. I'm going to move it to the 5-year weekly for a sec because I really want you to see it consolidated here back in 12-13 for a while and went sideways before lifting. We're kind of coming into that same area, so it may take a while to get through. Emphasis on may. I just want you to note that it's coming into that area of prior resistance. We'll see what happens, but I love the look of this chart. The value score, the dividend, all make it worth having on our watch list for sure. So I'm going to move it back from the 5-year to the 2-year weekly. And we want to note, I'm going to actually put in another area here of support resistance. So our risk reward in this area is really nice if it gets that lift. Big if. It's all about how the market wants to trade. I'm going to move it away from the weekly to the 9-month daily. So here's our 8-day EMA, which we use as our guide. I wouldn't be too surprised to see Royal Dutch Shell bounce back into this area here. We will see. But for me, I love the look of this chart. It's currently up and over the 8-day. If we get a nice bullish candle with more lift, let me pull it into a smaller time frame. Yeah, love this look. So I'll be looking for a bullish candle in the next several days that adds to the lift I see here and starts to make a move higher. Again, it's all about how the markets want to trade, but I want you to note that we look for the pink crossing the blue. The pink is the 3 EMA crossing the blue. It currently has that cross. So we'll see how this one trades in the next several days, but worth keeping an eye on for sure. Along with our new watch list pick, we also like to take a look at the sector that it's in. And for that, we're looking at XLE, which is the ETF for the energy sector. We're looking at the 2-year weekly chart. You can see on the 2-year weekly, it's in an uptrend as long as it remains above our black line. Looks to me like it's trying to find support here. I'll be watching it very carefully in this area, but overall, a nice looking chart. We also like to look at seasonality, and for that we go to equityclock.com. Here's the seasonal chart for Royal Dutch Shell. You can see that it sort of trades sideways through the months of July, August, and a little bit of September before coming into seasonal strength. No guarantee that happens this year, but always nice to know. Also like to go to FinViz to see if I have analyst support for my pick. These are old, so I'm not going to pay attention to them. 2014, 2011, not very relevant. Instead, there are a pile of really positive articles down here if you go and look. I'm going to include this one with today's video. Goldman Sachs reveals 3 top oil stocks to own in July. So that's from thestreet.com. It's dated July 13th. And so to summarize, let's go back and check the boxes for Royal Dutch Shell. We started today's video with a look at the Russell Index. We looked at the big 5-year monthly chart. We know that the Russell's trading in a bit of a wedge pattern. It's coming into the upper area of that wedge where price was rejected in the past. So we're being extra careful in this area. Having said that, price is currently up and over the 8-day EMA on the daily chart, and we've had price strength in the last couple of weeks. We looked at XLE, which is the ETF for the energy sector. We note that it's in an area of support on the 2-year chart. We looked at RDS.B. It's in an uptrend on the 2-year chart. It's been consolidating sideways, and it's at an area of possible price continuation and support. It's got a great value score. It's got a great growth score of 22% going forward. A really healthy dividend yield currently of 6.89%. It does have that 3 and 8 EMA cross. I'm kind of expecting it to be wonky in the days ahead. So I'm going to be watching it carefully to make sure that we continue to have that cross, but everyone has their own way of doing things. It's got seasonality in its favor, a little bit sideways through the next several months, but after that, positive seasonality through the back half of the year. Analyst support with that Goldman Sachs 3 top stocks to own, and current PE of 14.21, nice low PE for that yield. And earnings, couldn't find an earnings date, so I'm leaving that blank. As a reminder, I wanted to say these videos go out every Tuesday and Thursday morning. If you like receiving them, please hit subscribe on our YouTube homepage and subscribe to our channel. I will be away this Thursday, so there won't be a video coming out later in the week, but we'll resume our regular series next Tuesday. Thanks for watching.